the 4-2 seems, to put this 4-2 result into context, Stefan, it was the 122nd minute when Matza finally made it 3-2, and the 124th minute when Alex Garcia made it 4-2, and this was like a hockey-style empty net goal because the goalkeeper was in the other end, right? So just to put this into context, they were like minutes away from this going into penalties.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think about the best way of kind of summing this game up to someone who didn't maybe watch it. And if you kind of just bear with me and I read out the XG figures for both teams at every stage of the game, you might understand what was going on here. So in the first half, Paderborn had far more XG than Leverkusen. It was 0.56 Paderborn, 0.1 for Leverkusen. Second half, 0.45 to Paderborn, 1.32 to Leverkusen. So Leverkusen kind of turn around. Then in extra time, Paderborn got 0.38, but Leverkusen had 2.35. And yeah, it was a game that I think, unfortunately, had the manner in which it kind of played out didn't really play in Paderborn's favour. I thought Paderborn were fantastic in this match. Before the red card, before Leverkusen scored that goal in the 60th minute, I thought first half alone, I thought it could have been 2 goals up. Then, a red card for to Götze for, I guess, by the letter of the book, technically a professional foul. To me, it felt very kind of slight. To me, it felt kind of a little bit of a grey zone because there's another defender there. But okay, he gets sent off, and then Grimaldo steps up and scores one of his free kicks, which he's scoring with remarkable consistency this season. But Paderborn still keep coming. They're a man down. They keep coming. Marino scores basically in the last minute of the game, and you kind of think, wow, this is a game that Leverkusen are just going to completely implode in. Least of all because Paderborn then scored a second goal 6 minutes into extra time. But I don't know what happened. I guess the only thing I can really think of is just exhaustion got the better of Paderborn. They played by that point, they've been playing for 30 minutes plus another for about 45, 50 minutes with a man down. And the kind of last 10 minutes of that extra time, they just kind of completely fell apart. And then Matza, who came on just before full time, had a really good kind of second, extra time. And I don't know, Manu. I thought it was a dreadful performance from Leverkusen. I didn't think they were great at all. I thought Paderborn deserved to win this game. And I just don't really know what to make of Leverkusen right now because I watched them and I'm never impressed with them. They obviously just got absolutely thrashed off PSG 7-2 as well recently. But they're still picking up points where it matters. They beat Freiburg 2-0. They beat Mainz 4-3. They beat Union Berlin 2-0. They beat St. Pauli 2-1. Now, maybe that's like the 4 or 5 worst teams in the league or near the bottom of the half of the table. So maybe they're picking up points against the teams that they should be beating. But I don't know. I just kind of feel like we're looking at a squad here that still has a huge number of players who don't really know what they're doing. We've got a head coach in Kasper Yeoman who doesn't really quite know his best starting 11 or his best tactics. And it just feels like a really, really tricky transition period. So, if Bayern Munich fans are kind of wondering how does this Leverkusen team look going into that game, then I've got to say I really have no idea because it really could be any starting 11. And they do have good players, don't get me wrong. Matza, for example, came on and looked fantastic in this match. But I don't know. I guess it's a little bit like we talked about with Leipzig at the start of the season where we said, they've got a lot of decent young players, got a lot of potential in that squad, but it's a bit of a car crash at the minute. Or, I think I said, like, it's the kindergarten with the kids running around without any kind of supervision. That's kind of how it feels a little bit. And we're just kind of waiting for Human to kind of get a grip of things because it just, I don't know. I don't really have a coherent point to make here, I guess, but I was just absolutely flabbergasted by how crap Leverkusen were in this game, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of things that are coming together right now for Leverkusen. It's the fact that they had the entire season preparation with a different coach, right? They built a team. They built a team for a different coach, realizing that they hired the wrong coach early on, and I actually do think that they made the right decision moving on as swiftly and quickly as they did. And I do think they hired the right coach. But that means that what you usually do in the preseason and all those friendlies, Kasper Hjulmand has to figure out now, right? And you see it in games like this. You see it in his formation. I mean, like this formation had Grimaldo and Hoffmann play in the center of the park behind Schick. So,
Grimaldo, by the way, Grimaldo now has 6 goals and 4 assists this season, which is just incredible.
He scores free kicks like Kane scores penalties.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly hard to do. I'm like, like we had this discussion in our work chat, right, the other day about non-penalty goals. And so I don't want to take away from Grimaldo's ability. Like a penalty is a 0.7 XG. I don't think any of the free kicks that Grimaldo has scored this season have a 0.7 XG. They should when he's on the ball, but I don't think they do.
He scored more free kicks in like the last 3 months than he has in the last 3 years at Leverkusen, which is so bizarre because like they couldn't be worse than they are right now. But he just seems to be like, right, I'm just going to have to score free kicks every week to keep this team going. And it's working, I suppose.
He always had the ability. I mean, we've seen him score for great free kicks, and his shooting ability is second to none. But like, it's right. He's like on the run right now, where when he gets a free kick outside of the box, it's like you might as well give Harry Kane a penalty. It's the same thing. You just know it's gonna pop in. It's interesting though how like going back to Grimaldo and the way he's lined up. I mean, he was a wing back under Alonso. And under Ten Hag early on, and now he's playing, I guess, as a false 10 next to Hoffmann in this game, which is such a weird transition. Alex Garcia and Andrich playing the double pivot as number 6s, and we have talked about Andrich and the problems that he's been facing this year quite a bit. Ben Zagir, who I think is a very talented player, struggled a bit in this game as well. And so, there's a lot of things that are just coming together at the moment for them where I remember like 2 years ago, at the start of the season where they won the German championship, I wrote an article on how Leverkusen have finally put enough talent together to win a title. And then they ended up winning it. And then last year they played the second best season ever as well, right? Obviously Bayern get the title back, but then it gets torn apart. Lots of players leave, lots of new players come. And I actually think this talent pool is good enough, to challenge for a title eventually again. But I just don't think it's there yet. I don't think there's the cohesion is there in the squad yet. And so, this entire season, I think, is going to be Kasper Hjulmand and this entire team just trying to figure it out. And we're going to have lots of performances like this.
Yeah, and, maybe it's my final point before I let you run back to the Bayern game. But it feels like they're kind of okay, and this isn't the best kind of... it's not exactly a compliment to the Bundesliga, but it's the fact that they, like Leipzig, I suppose, as well, are able to pick up points in the Bundesliga with relative not ease, but with relative consistency, despite the fact that they're clearly in the middle of a very tricky transition period. And, it's not great if you're kind of hoping that these clubs can challenge the title, but at the same time, it's also kind of good, I suppose, that they have the squads and they have the kind of coaches who are able to kind of do that. And maybe, Hjulmand deserves some sort of credit here. It was a terrible performance tonight, but they're through to the next round of the competition. They're picking up wins in the Bundesliga. They're doing okay there. So, it's not the end of the world. And, if they just kind of fly under the radar, maybe in January or February, we'll say, hey, look, the squad has clicked. It is looking like something proper. And they might do some damage in, 2026. But right now, it really feels like we're in the trenches with Leverkusen. And we're not quite sure who's going to be the star player in 6 months' time. I mean, even like someone like Patrick Schick, it feels like he's just wasting or killing time up front. He just looks so disinterested.
I do think Fovan is a better player.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Actually, let me reword that. I think Fovan has a higher ceiling.
Yeah, but the same goes for Tapsoba, who I think is just completely killing time in centre-back position. So they're between stations, and we're still trying to figure out what's going on. And it'll be interesting to see from week to week or month to month how this Leverkusen team will end up looking in February or March next year. But right now, and particularly against a very good Paderborn side, it's a bit of a mess. So we'll see what happens. But that's that's where we stand with things, I guess, right now.